Today we're going to talk about archetypes. Archetypes are what everyone falls into a number of different classifications, and those are the type of person, the global type of person that you are. And we all exhibit all characteristics of all the different archetypes. But what I want to do is go into in depth on each of the individual ones so you can start to see how this may play out in your life and what kind of a person you're being, and if that's something you want to be or if that's something that you want to change a little bit to what you want. So there's many different archetypes. There's what they call story archetypes, which there's basically seven basic plots in movies and plays and whatever that all stories follow. Then there's uh, Platonic archetypes, which are from Greek and Roman times. And then there's the Jungerian archetypes that Carl Jung defined. And Carl Jung defined these archetypes by essentially studying the occult and and looking specifically at the tarot. And today we can find archetypes in many different things. We can find it in the tarot, we can find it in movies, we can find it in astrology, psychology, and stereotypes are basically archetypes that we're looking at. So when we look at Carl Jung, at the stuff he did, and this is a picture of Carl Jung from 1875 to 1961. And what he did is he gave us our modern definition of what archetypes are and how we might use them. And essentially, what he did was he studied the tarot. And if you've never read any books on tarot cards or the tarot, highly recommend it. You don't have to practice it. You don't have to do card readings and stuff like that, whether you agree with it or not. What's fascinating about it is that the tarot outlines all these different archetypes, and there's four suits in the tarot, and each suit is essentially taking someone from the start of their life to the end of their life, and all the things that they would, all the adventures that they would have, so to speak, as they went over their life. And each set of cards, each set in the cards has a different theme to it. There's swords, there's wands, and a couple of other ones. And when we look at these, we can define the essential 12 archetypes that we define, and everyone fits into these archetypes. Companies fit into them, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So in the 12 archetypes, we have the ruler, we have the creator, and the artist, the sage, the innocent, the explorer, the rebel, the hero, the wizard, the jester, the everyman, the lover, and the caregiver. And when we look at these things, we can find that they're all divided into three categories. Each one of these archetypes can fall into three general categories of the ego, the self, or the soul. And then when we further look at that, each one of those three divisions can have four subdivisions within them. So there's 12 archetypes. If we divide that by three, we get four archetypes in each group, and in each group there's four subcategories or four further divisions of classifications. And we have in those subcategories, we have the ego, which says I want to leave a mark on the world. We have the order, which provides structure to the world. We have the social aspect, which is connecting to others, and then we have freedom, which is yearn for paradise. So when we look at these archetypes, we can draw a nice little picture over here, and this is what the archetypes fall into for the ego, self, and soul. As you can see, they go around into three classifications, and then we have each one of there's an ego, self, and soul for each division, and then each division has each one of those archetypes is looking to exemplify what the subclassification is. So if we see the first one on the left, we see the soul, the self, and the caregiver. The soul is the innovation, the self is the control, and the caregiver is the service. And they want to provide structure to the world. The next group is one to connect with others. The next group wants to leave a mark on the world, and the next group yearns for paradise. And what we'll do is I'm going to look at each one of these different groups and categories over the next few episodes and go into more in depth on them and explain what they are and why we're interested in them and how they can help us. And this can help us in a number of different ways. One, if we start looking at our dreams, we can see certain themes coming in the dream, and they may be things we need to work on. We can also look at ourselves and say, gee, am I more the caregiver type? Am I more of the artist type? Am I the rebel who's going to make a mark on the world? What type of person do I define myself as? And that's going to change depending upon the situation you're in. If you're in one situation, you're going to act one way. And if you're in another situation, you're going to start to act a different way. So what's important is to look at these things and to understand how they affect us. And when we look at movies, for example, the movie follows what's called the hero's journey, which was defined a number of years ago, and it's in every play, every movie, and it really doesn't matter what the situation is, and it takes place in our personal lives also. The hero's journey, and I've spoken about this before, effectively is a person starts out with a bunch of problems, and then they want to go find the girl of their dream or whatever, and she doesn't, and she's like not interested because he's got those problems, and then he meets a sage, where he helps him clean up his mess, and then he gets his act together, and then he goes after and conquers the girl and wins. And it happens as the same thing, if we take like a movie like Star Wars. We have Luke, who's kind of a messed up teenager, and he's got to go fight, the evil empire. And he meets a sage, which is Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan teaches him how to do these things, and then he becomes a Jedi Master, and he conquers the evilness. And during the period of this hero's journey, you go through something called the dark night of the soul, where you feel like giving up, and it's like, oh, it's never going to happen, and you leave, and then the sage has to come back in to you and kind of give you a pep talk. And this happens in our lives. This can take 10 minutes to happen, or it can take a lifetime to happen. And it happens many times over the course of our life, in business situations and personal situations, and it doesn't matter where it is. It's some kind of a theme in the universe that comes about. So in the comments, tell me how this is playing out in your life, and how and you see it affecting you. And if you go into the YouTube channel or the other video channels, please like and post comments there also.